Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 55 of ASP.NET Core tutorial. In this video, we will discuss implementing edit view in ASP.NET Core MVC to edit existing employees' data. Here is what we want to do. When this edit button is clicked, we want to redirect the user to an edit view that look like this. We want to retrieve the respective employees' detail and display them on this form, so the user can change the details that he wants to change. And then once the update button is clicked, we want to post this form back to the server. And update the respective employee record in the underlying database table, including the image. In this video, we will implement this edit view and the edit action that responses to HTTP GET request. In our next video, we will implement the edit action that responses to HTTP post request when we submit this form by clicking this update button. By clicking this update button. The first thing that we want to do right now is, when this edit button is clicked, we want to redirect the user to the edit view. This list of employees are coming from our index view. Which is already opened within Visual Studio. Here is our edit button. When this button is clicked, we want to redirect the user to the edit action within our home controller. To specify the name of the action method, we use asp-action. To specify the name of the action method, we use asp-action. We use asp-action tag helper. To specify the name of the action method, we use asp-action tag helper. The name of the action is edit. The name of the action is edit, and it is going to be within our home controller. To specify the name of the controller, we use asp-controller tag helper. We use asp-controller tag helper to the edit view. To the edit view, we also need to pass the ID of the employee that we are editing. For that, we are going to use asp-route-id. asp-route-id tag helper. We use this loop variable. We use this loop variable employee to get the ID. To get the ID of the employee. This is an index view which display the list of employees. So naturally the model for the view is enumerable of employee object. So we are looping through all the employees. That we have in the model, and we are using this loop variable employee to get the ID, and we are using this loop variable employee to get the ID of the employee that we are editing. That's why we specified it here. We also have edit button. We also have edit button in our detail view. Notice when I click view button, notice when I click the view button to navigate to details view, on the details view we have this edit button. On the details view we have this edit button. When we click this, again we want to go to edit action within our home controller. So the code is going to be very similar to what we already have in our index view. So I'm going to copy these three tag helper. So go back to the Visual Studio and copy these three tag helper. Paste them in our detail views. paste them in our detail view and then change the bits that are required. To get the ID of the employee, we are going to use the model object of this view, which is home details view model. As you can see from the IntelliSense, as you can see from the IntelliSense, so on the model property we have employee property. So on the model property we have the employee property. Let's save these changes. Let's save these changes, but I would also recommend you to build the solution. And go to the browser. Look at here, build is succeeded. And then go to the browser. So here you can see. Now what happened? And take look at the browser. Notice now when we reload this page details view, we get an interesting error. We get an interesting error. We get interesting error. Invalid operation exception. Cannot override the h-reference attribute for an anchor element. So basically it is saying, go back to the Visual Studio. So basically it is saying, if we have the h-reference attribute specified, we cannot use these tag helpers. We cannot use these tag helpers. ASP-action, ASP-controller, etc. For these tag helpers to work, we need to get rid of this h-reference attribute. So get rid of this h-reference attribute from here. Let's do the same in our index view as well. Where is the index view? Here it is. And get rid of this h-reference here. From here also. When we reload the page or build the solution, so once again build the solution and go to the browser. Now when we reload the page, now it works. Now it works. But when we click this edit button, we click this edit button, notice we have a 404. Why is that? That is because at the moment within our home controller, we don't have edit action. So let's include it. Here is the home controller. Go back to the Visual Studio and in home controller, here is the home controller. Our edit action is going to be same. Our edit action is going to be same, is going to be somewhat similar. Our edit action is going to be somewhat similar to this create action. So let's make a copy of this and then change the bits that are required. The name of the action method is edit. Instead of create. The name of the action method is edit instead of create. Now we want to create a view model class that carries all the data this edit view needs. I'm going to place this view model class within this view model folder. Okay, we want to create a view model class that carries all the data this edit view needs. I'm going to place this view model class within the view model folder. Let's name the class employee edit view model. Now let's understand the data our edit view needs. It needs some of the name of the employees, email, department, and to display their existing photo, we need property that can carry the existing photo path. In addition, if the user want to change the existing photo, with a new photo, they again need another field. To upload a new photo. Now if we take a look at employee create view model, Notice it has most of the properties that we need: name, email, department, and photo. So the first four properties, are already there in our employee create view model. In addition to these four properties, we need existing photo path property to display the existing photo, and we also need the ID of the employee. So in order not to duplicate code, what I am going to do is making this employee edit view model class not to duplicate code. What I am going to do is make this employee edit view model class inherits from employee create view model. Inherits from employee create view model class. Through inheritance, employee create view model is already providing us employee create view model is already providing us these four properties: name, email, department, and photo. In addition, we need a property for ID and existing photo path. This is going to be of type string. In addition, we need a property for ID and existing photo path. This is going to be of type string. This is going to be of type string, and we have named the property existing photo path. The next thing that we want to do is, within the edit action in our home controller, we have to write code. To retrieve existing employee details and display as you see right here. To retrieve employee details, we need the ID of the employee. The ID is passed in the URL. The ID is passed in the URL. So in our edit action method, I'm going to include a parameter named ID. So in our edit action method, I'm going to include a parameter named ID. This parameter will automatically receive the employee ID from the URL through model binding. Once we have the ID, if the employee within the method, let's create a variable of type employee. Let's create a variable of type employee. Variable of type employee. Let's call it employee. We are going to use the injected iEmployee repository service to retrieve the employee details. We are going to use the injected iEmployee repository service to retrieve the employee details from the database. We have get employee method. To this pass the incoming. Pass the incoming ID. To this get employee method, pass the incoming ID. Next, let's create an instance of our employee edit view model. Next, let's create an instance of our employee edit view model and populate its property. And populate its property with the data populate its property with the data that we have in this employee object. Let's call the instance employee employee edit view model. ID equals employee.id name equals employee.name, emails equals employee.email, department equals employee.departments, and finally existing photo path. And finally existing photo path equals employee dot photo path. Return view employee edit view model. At this point we have retrieved the existing employee details from the underlying database. From the underlying database. At this point we have retrieved the existing employee details from the underlying database table, and then created our view model, object, populated it with the data our view needs. So let's pass this view model we have already passed it. Let's pass this view model object to this view function, Okay, now what is happening here? As you can see, there is a green squiggly. Why this? This is the green squiggly. This green squiggly line under employee in our edit action method is not an error. It is a compiler warning. Specifically, it is a nullable reference type warning introduced in C# 8.0 and enabled by default in .NET 8 project. Here is why it happens. Your repository method returns employee nullable. Your repository method returns employee nullable. You immediately access employee ID, employee name, etc. The compiler warns that employee could be null. So dereferencing it may cause a null reference exceptions. Way to remove the warning: add a null check recommended for safety. So how to add a null check? Here it is. Handle not found. case, handle not found case. Example, redirect to not found view. Return view not found. So this is the way to remove the green squiggly by adding a null check. Okay. At this point, if we reload this page, there is no effect. So we need to build the solution once again. And go back to the browser. So at this point, if we reload this page /home/edit/1, we get a different error. We get a different error. What is this error says? The view edit was not found. This makes sense. Because we don't have this edit file, edit.cshtml. Okay, when we reload the page, we get a different error. The view edit was not found. The view edit was not found. This makes sense because we don't have this edit file, edit.cshtml. We don't have this file, edit.cshtml. So let's add a view to the home folder. So let's add a new view to the home folder because the name of the controller is home. Let's name the view edit. Let's name the view edit. We have added new view to the home folder. We have added view to the home folder because the name of the controller is home. So we name the view edit The code in this view is going to be very similar to what we already have in our create view. Where is the create view? Here it is. So let's make a copy of this and then change the bits that are required. Go back to the edit, view, and paste the copied stuff from the create.cshtml here, and then change the bits that are required. The method for this view is employee edit view model. The method for this view is employee edit model instead of employee create view model. And then the title is edit employee. And then the title is edit employee. Now when we post this form back to the server, by clicking this update button, we want the edit action within our home controller. We want the edit action within our home controller. We want the edit action within our home controller to handle that post request. So let's change the name of the action method here from create to edit. Next, I'm going to include a hidden input field to store the ID of the employee. Next, I'm going to include a hidden input field to store the ID of the employee that we are editing. We are using a hidden field because we don't want to display the ID. We are using a hidden field because we don't want to display the ID to the user on the view to get the employee ID value from the ID property of this view model. To get the employee ID value from the ID property of this view model object, employee edit view model. Into this hidden input field. Into this hidden input field, we use asp-for. asp-for tag helper and bind it to the ID. And bind it to the ID. bind it to the ID property. Along the same line, I'm going to use the another hidden input field to store the existing photo path. To store the existing photo path property value. Next, we have bootstrap row. Within that, next we have the bootstrap row. Within that, we have a label. We have a label that displays the text name, and then an input element, and then an input element that displays the name, property value, and then this span element that display any validation errors related to the name property. The same is true for emails. We have a label, an input element, and a span element. The same is true for department. And then we have a field, so the user can upload a new photo. And then we have a field, so the user can upload a new photo. Remember on our edit view, we want to include this photo field. So the user can upload a new photo. If they want to change their existing photo, and we want the text on this input field, and we want the text on this input field to be click here to change photo. At the moment, the text is choose file. Let's change this to click here to change photo. Click here to change photo. And then we have the create button. We want the text on this button to be update. We want the text on this button to be update. We also want cancel button. So let me include an anchor element. The text on this is cancel. When this anchor element is clicked, we want to redirect the user to the index action of our home controller, so the user can see the list of all employees. To specify the name of the controller, let's use asp-controller tag. asp-controller tag helper. asp-controller tag helper, and then to specify the name of the action method, let's use asp-action. asp-action. And we want to style this as a button. As a button. So let's use bootstrap button and button primary classes. This piece of jQuery code here is used to display the name of the selected file in the file upload control. We discussed this code in details in our previous video, so I am not going to go over it again. Let's save our changes. And go back to the browser. But before going, let's build the solution also, because if we reload the page, we wouldn't get any result. So we have to build the solution and then go back to the browser. Build the solution. Build succeeded. And take a look at the browser. Notice now when we reload the page, we see the details of the existing employee. Detail of the existing employee. All the controls are populated, including the department. Notice we have the complete list of all options. Notice we have the complete list of all the options. From the list we have IT selected. How is this possible? Well, it is because of asp-for tag helper. The only thing that is missing at the moment is the existing employee photo. The The only thing that is missing at the moment is the existing employee photo. Let's display that now. Let's display that now. We want to display the existing photo of the employee just below the photo field. So let's include an image element. Image element, remember, an employee may or may not have a photo. If they don't have a photo, then we want to display this no image. Remember, an employee may or may not have a photo. If they don't have a photo, then we want to display this no image.jpg from the image folder. If they do have a photo, then we want to display that respective photo. If they do have a photo, then we want to display that respective photo. So we want to set the source attribute of the image element dynamically. So we want to set the source attribute of the image element dynamically. We already have an expression that compute the photo path. We already have an expression that compute the photo path in our details view. In our detail views, so let's copy it from there. On our model object, the property name is existing photo path. On our model object, the property name is existing photo path. Existing photo path. On our model object, the property name is existing photo path. With this expression, we are basically saying if there is an existing photo path, then use that from the images folder. From this expression, we are basically saying if there is an existing photo path, then use that from the images folder. Otherwise, use this no image.jpg. No image.jpg from the image folder. So let's use this variable. let's use this variable as a source for our image element. For styling, I'm going to use image thumbnail. For styling, I am going to use image thumbnail. Image thumbnail class. This class is present in site.css. This class is present in site.css. Site.css file. It basically sets height. It's basically sets height 200 pixel, width to auto. On the image element, I am also going to use asp-append version tag helper. asp-append -version tag helper. For cache busting. So we are using asp-append version tag helper for cache busting. To position this image element correctly on the form, I am going to wrap it with another div element. Notice we have 4 classes. All these are the bootstraps styling classes. For styling, so to position the image element correctly, to position this image element correctly on the form, I am going to wrap it with another div element. Notice we have 4 classes. We have 4 classes. Notice we have 4 classes. All these are the bootstrap styling classes. Let's close the div element. We have closed the div element. Notice now when we reload the page, so go back to the browser and reload the page. No effect is seen here. So we need to once again build the solution to see the effect. Build the solutions and go back to the browser. You now reload the page. Notice we see the existing photo as well. We see the existing photo as well. When I click the cancel button, I am redirected to the list view. When I click the cancel button, I am redirected to the list view where I see the full list of employees. When I click edit on any of the employees, when I click on the edit on any of the employee, we see that respective employee details along with their existing photo. So I click this edit of Sarah. Look at here. We see that respective employee details along with their existing photo. Now if I want to change my photo, I click the browse button. I click the browse button and then select the photo. I select Lucy, open it. And then select the photo I want to update with, and at this point when I click update, I have selected lucy.jpg, and at this point when I click update, we get a 405. This is not 404, this is 405. This page is not working. We get a 404 error, 405 error. That is because at the moment within our home controller, we don't have an edit actions method that handles a HTTP post requests. We will implement that in our next video. We will implement that in our next video. 3 simple steps to implement edit view in ASP.NET Core MVC. First, create edit view model class. First, create edit view model class. This class carries all the data your view need. Next, within the respective controller class, implement edit action method. Implement the edit action method that responds to HTTP GET request. This method retrieves the data from the underlying database, creates an instance of view model class, populates it with the data that is retrieved from the database, and then passes that model object to the view. Finally, implement the view itself. implement the view itself that displays the data provided to it by the controller action method. That's it in this video. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.